let's create a second microflow. So what about something that will give somebody a pay rise? Let's add a little button here. And when you click on the button, what it will do is it will add a value onto Sal. So same thing again. Let's add a container in here. So I'm going to add a layout grid, and I want to add that just above Sal. And I'm going to pick 9.3 again. I'm going to drop the Sal, I'm going to pick that up and I drop that into the column on the left. And I'm going to find a call microflow button. I'm just going to pop that. Oops, try again. There it is. I'm going to drop that into there. Now again, this pops up and it says which microflow. If we had a pre-existing microflow that we wanted to use, we could select it from this list, but I want to create a new one. So I'm going to tap new, and then I'm going to, let's call it pay rise. There we go. So it's created the button, put a label on the top. Obviously I could change that label if I wanted. I could double tap and I could change the caption. I'm just going to leave it as it is at the moment, that's fine. That button, when it's clicked, that's going to run a microflow. Which microflow? It's going to run the pay rise microflow, which currently doesn't have anything inside it, but let's open it up and let's change it. So I'm going to double tap on pay rise. That opens the microflow in the microflow editor. So same basic idea, starting point for the microflow, ending point for the microflow. We are running this microflow from inside a data view, in other words, a view that's showing one employee. So by default, Mendix has sort of assumed that we want to work on the employee that's actually being currently displayed. So this is actually all that information, everything that's inside here, all of the parts that make up that employee object, that employee row from the table, is available to us in this piece of data that's being passed in. Now what we want to do is we want to change a value in there, because what we want to do is we want to change the salary value. So if we look in here under object activities, you'll see one that says change object. So I'm going to drag that in here and I'm going to drop it on here, and I'm going to double tap on it to open it up. Now it says change an object. Now which object are we going to change? Now there's only one object available to us here, which is, if I tap on this, it should be the only one that's available on the list that's really relevant. There are some built-in things here, but I'm not interested in those. I'm actually interested in changing employee. Okay, and what are we going to do? We're going to, I'm going to click on new, and it's going to ask us, what are we going to change? Now this panel is a little bit different to the kind of things that we've seen before, so I'm just going to talk through it very carefully. Now remember, the employee that we're working on here, we have actually got all the different bits of data that are inside that available to us. Employee number, name of the person, salary, commission, etc. So what do we actually want to do? Well, we want to change the salary. So you can see the salary is available. We could actually change any of these. We can change multiple ones. But really what we want to do is we want to change the salary. So I'm just going to say salary. What are we going to do? We're going to change the value. We're going to set the value to be something. Now there's a little bit of notation that we have to use here, involving the use of the $ and the slash. So I'm going to type a $, and what it will do is it will show us all the available objects that we could use at this point. If you look down the list, you'll see it says employee. So that's the object, the employee object. And now I use a / and it shows me all the different parts that make up the employee. So Mendix uses a $ in front of the object, and it uses a / for the attributes of that object. Different way of phrasing it, it uses $ in front of the name of the table, and then a / to mean which the particular columns we're actually interested in working on. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to take the salary and then let's do something. Let's say we're going to add £500 to it. So salary, the member that I picked up here, the salary member, that Sal, is going to take a new value, and the new value it's going to take the current Sal plus 500. In other words, we're adding 500 onto the value of salary. So I'm going to click OK. Click OK. Now I'm going to leave those values up there for the moment, and let's try it out and see what actually happens. So let's recreate our app, save all the content, all the changes. We can now view the app. Here we go. Tap on there. So let's go into March. There we can see we've got our pay rise button. Let's see what happens if we actually tap on that pay rise button. Great, there you go. You can see it's added 500 on. Every time we click, it adds £500 onto their salary. And I could click save, and hopefully if I go back in, you can see the value's been added on, just like that. Now if I go back into the Microflow, let's just have a look at what this thing is doing here. So this, in particular, this line at the top. Now what this is actually saying is, should it save the change right now? This is what commit means. Commit basically means save the value. So if I say yes, what will happen is when the Microflow runs and is in action, the moment that I make that change, it will be saved. So let me demonstrate that. If I go into employee again, let's go into March again. So March is currently on 20,000. If I click pay rise now, what it's actually done is it's actually made that change already. So even if I click cancel, if I now go back into here, you can see it's saved the change. It's committed that change to the database. And that's the significant point of that line. When you're doing this, what you need to do is you need to think about, when am I actually going to save that change? So, and maybe your system should work like this. You know, when you click on the pay rise button, you actually want that change to be actually at that moment saved. But I think what's actually more natural would be for the number to change on the screen here, but for it to only be saved when we actually click on the save button. So let's go back into the bit where it says commit, and let's say no. So now what will happen is, if I recreate the app, click view app, open it up, back into admin. Now, if I increase their salary, but I click cancel, hopefully we've gone back to the value it was. So the commit actually happens when we click save, and that happens automatically when we created this page. What it's done is it's built a commit bit into that button. That's a more natural process, I think. So when you're making one of these changes, when you're using this change object activity, you just make a decision. You just have a think. If I make a change, do I want the change to happen right now, or is there another way for that change to happen at a later point? Anyway, there's my increase someone's salary Microflow.